Good day everyone, so here I am with Nahida to greet you. So we are going to sort of look at the new patch now. I've made a first impressions video, but looking back at it and sort of rerunning the trial on Scaramouche and Faruzan, I realized I made a lot of mistakes. So I'm going to give you my not first impression of the character and give you my second impression of the character. So there are a couple of things we sort of need to sort of take note. So the first thing with Scaramouche is the moment you're in the air, you cannot swap to any other characters. The only way you can do so is by pressing your elemental skill button again and then dropping down. So this is one of the things about him. You have to sort of use him with a bit of field time. Once you're in the air, it is pretty quick. His ability to hover and stuff doesn't really last that long before he just sort of plunges down. So it's not the worst thing, but for me a big problem was the fact that you can't easily swap him out. So once you're in the air and you're doing all sorts of things, it's like I want to swap. There we go. Now I can finally swap to Xiangling. So he is a bit of a slow character and a quick swap sort of style. So what you'd want to do is you want to layer a lot of buffs for the character, and then you want to sort of have him be on field, and then you want to quickly cycle between all of the other buffs. So this is sort of my impressions of Scaramouche. Yeah, of course, there's a little flying thing, so if you hold spacebar, you can fly like really, really high, look down on everyone, and then obviously smash down with plunging attacks. But yeah, I mean, he's an okay character. He's not as fast as I would have loved, so this is very, very, very slow in terms of that. It's just, so if you compare that to just normally dashing, it's not that impressive. So how would I do things? Well, I'd start off with my supports, do all sorts of things, swirl, then sort of attack the enemies, dash around, and then right before my sort of meter expires, I press my elemental burst, swap to my support characters, activate their elemental burst, and do a couple of other things, and then Wanderer should be back online, start hitting the enemies, dashing, and just before my meter sort of drops here, I'm going to unleash again my elemental burst. So this is pretty much the core gameplay loop that you'd want to sort of go for him. It's not bad. I think it can be. It's a pretty loopy sort of effect, but you've got to be aware of how you manage all your cooldowns and abilities. But yeah, he's an okay character. I'm not that overly impressed, so I'm obviously not going to pull for him. But if you're interested in taking the character, then obviously no harm done. And now the other character is obviously Faruzan. And I just sort of want to point out one thing that I've noticed about her. Now, she's very slow, and it's the same with Scaramouche. For instance, if you look at a character like Sucrose here, look at what I'm going to do. So in that instance, I've unleashed two sort of swirls and a normal attack, if you sort of saw it. That was so quick, but the other characters just don't give you that kind of mobility or that just combat fluidity. And that's kind of my big problem with the two new animo units, because I'm generally someone that wants to do sort of things a bit faster. So for instance here with Sucrose, I'd want to sort of do this, and then immediately I want to go into my other character. So I can literally dump all of my abilities and then quickly get going. So let's quickly go to Faruzan. I think I did not even complete the sort of tutorial here. So the big thing about her is that she's supposed to be a Shao and Scaramouche, sort of like a Wanderer sort of support. One of the things that you'll notice about her abilities is once you cast your elemental burst, you'll see you decrease the opponent's animo resistance, so that's very, very good. And obviously you're giving an animo damage to the rest of your party, so that's pretty not too bad. I mean, 3% raise plus animo bonus. This is very much like the Kazuha in a certain, well, not really, but in a certain sense of animo units. Well, it's, or how can I put it? She gives you the sort of buffs that Kazuha would give to like Pyro, Electro, and sort of units, but as an animo unit, obviously not to the full extent. But if you sort of look at what she does in her like little talent here, she increases the damage for, or the animo damage for one of your characters. Obviously you can only do it every 0.8 seconds, and then the big thing for her is her Constellation 6 that gives you an increased 40% crit damage when you deal animo damage. So very much she is the sort of like the Kujo Sora of Animo support, or the Bennett for, well, Bennett pretty much applicable to most characters. I'd probably redesign him for pyro units, but that's more or less her sort of role. So it's kind of a shame that they didn't put her together with Scaramouche. I don't know why they do these trials so weirdly. And here we have Hazo, who, as far as I'm aware, is not a free character, and yet they put him onto the trials, which is kind of weird. But the whole point is that she's supposed to synergize with Hazo. So once again, what's the sort of loop? You put down all of your other abilities, you go in here, now you're going to cast her ability, go to your other units, build up some elemental burst particles, we do all sorts of cool things, smash, alright, hit, 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 cycle through my supports, here you go, Xiangling, give me a bit of a Pyronado. Alright, so now we're in a good state, so now we can unleash her ability. Oops, I should have gone to Xiangling here, but the whole point is now that I've got Hazo here, I can actually do a ton of damage. And this is exactly what Faruzan is like really, really good at. And of course, if you need to group up enemies after you've sort of pressed their E ability, you've got a reduced sort of like charge time, and you can do it. Obviously, one of the things that I find that's a bit problematic with her is that she's a bit slow. So if you have a lot of enemies, so you cast your ability, and now you need to do this to group up enemies. In that time, I would have already gotten 1 swirl, 2 double E's on Sucrose, and even potentially my Q ability. So she is a bit slow, but yeah. Definitely for supporting Animo units on the more offensive side. Not a bad unit, but yeah, since I'm not getting Scaramouche, I'm not getting her, I don't find that there's enough situations or reasons for me to build out an Animo roster on my sort of account. It's pretty much just going to be a skip. What is it with these loading times and textures? Has it gotten worse or something? Oh well. So yeah, unfortunately, Hoyo has not given us any. Wow, the loading times are really bad. Hoyo's not given us a reason or any more additional end-game content, like a new, let's say, fancy abyss here and one in the chasm and one over there, to sort of actually need to build out more characters. So in a certain sense, it's a bit of wasted potential. But if you like the characters, and there's really nothing wrong with them, they look pretty solid to me, you're welcome to get them. Thanks for watching, and see you guys. Oh my god, look how cute Nahida is. Just so awesome.